Abbiamo un'oretta.
So we can
So I think
we can start.
Magari si fai su favore.
Sì, sì, certo.
sì.
C'è un ufficio. Ah, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for joining this panel. You're totally surrounded by the speakers. It's a big pleasure. Consider it as a work table because we come from different regions. We come from government institutions, from university, companies. So it is an opportunity for all of us, and you're joining the group to share experience and activities in the field of infrastructures. Infrastructures that I mean, that as I meant in my introduction before, we are working as a global view, not only civil works, not only fiber optics put on the floor, but also in the sense of fixed and mobile communication and edge computing, so connections, but also data centers, HPC, computational capacity that is used to provide smart services and to provide, we hopefully, a smarter Alpine region. Just to share with my friends here, you know that there is in 2009, I joined the AG5 in 2018, and we started with a feasibility study on cross-border connectivity. So the use Alp funded a feasibility study, and from this feasibility study, where we highlighted the gaps, the problems of each cross-border connection in the Alpine region, inside the Alpine region. Following this study in 2024 with my friend Angelo from the University of Trieste, we did a project with the Connecting Europe facility. So CEF program is a European project that funds infrastructure, one of the few programs that can provide this kind of support. Now we are starting a new project on smart communities, another call where we will refurbish, let's say, the ancient port of Trieste, spreading this with this intensification of 5G standalone network for outdoor and indoor connectivity to test augmented reality education, to test such technologies. So I think that USARP, not only in this small table, but that USARP is a think tank where we can provide with European Commission funds like Horizon, like CEF is doing now, come from the idea to come them through. And at this table, I also had the pleasure to invite, as I told you, the different speakers from the municipality. We have the mayor, Stefan Clara. You already know that he introduced himself and opened the work. So I will give you the floor if you want to share with us. I saw your presentation. I was very, it was very interesting.
That's not fair. You've already seen it.
No surprise.
You're cheating.
And I'm really sorry what's happening.
But that's just advertising.
Okay. No, I was expecting something like civil works, but I saw the many interesting aspects. So please, the floor is yours. Share with us your experience.
Okay, so you already heard about that I am mayor of a small municipality nearby Lienz here, but this is just one part of my public life. The other one is that I am head of the digital data room working group in our planning association. That was already something that I tried to explain at the very beginning. It's called PV36. It's 16 municipalities right here around the town. We have in our whole region, we have 3 planning associations. This is something that in Italy is not known in this way, but this is something that is extremely powerful because we are having a lot of possibilities to do work where we are not all the time forced to follow all the rules that we have to follow as mayors. So this is extremely good, and we are doing a lot of work through these planning associations, and in my, as I wrote it, in no more existing free time, I am also a software developer, so I have a personal interest in all of this as well. If you can, okay, what is the status quo in our project? The status quo is we have two different networks we are working on. The first one is the FiberNet, the fiber optic network. So we have for our rural area, for our rural region, we have European-wide an outstanding coverage. So we are really having a possibility of connecting 100% of population to the fiber optic network. So this is the situation how it is right now. It is definitely an ideal infrastructure for all the future projects we are right now in part thinking of, and on the other hand, which is giving us the opportunity to create new projects based on this infrastructure. If we are talking about digitalization or IoT or all this stuff, this is extremely basic, where we are the opinion this is a must-have. And the last one is, this is for new markets going to be the basis in all of it. And on top of this, we have a LoRaWAN network. I'm not sure everybody knows about LoRaWANs. No?
No.
Oh, LoRaWAN is a technology. The name is split. It is LoRa, Long Range Wide Area Network. So LoRaWAN is a sensor technology that is based on a frequency equal to the mobile phone frequencies. And it is a long-range network, so this is covering extremely long areas. It is possible to go over 10 and 20 and 30 kilometers, even in our region where we have the mountains. So they are doing a lot of tests on the network, on the signal by itself. They are shooting up balloons with sensors. They have reached over 800 kilometers of distance with these signals. The second important thing on LoRaWAN is it's a low power network, so that means it is consuming very, very low power for the transmission of information. And that is in our regions extremely important because we, for example, if I take my municipality, we have a lot of big water tanks up high in the mountains. For us, it is quite impossible during the winter to reach them. So we, very often in my place, it comes up that we do not know if we have still water or not. So there is no electricity, there is mainly also not sun, so that we can use other technologies during the winter times. So for us, this kind of technology is extremely important because it is giving us the chance to control our water tanks if there is still enough or not. Low power, why? Because it is transmitting very, very few information as text files. So this is sending very short messages, not all the time, but for example, every hour, once a day. So this is depending on what kind of need do you have with the different type of sensors. So for example, for our water tanks, it is basically enough if we get it 2 or 3 times in a day. So we must not have it all the time. So the batteries which are dealing with the transmission, they are reaching even 6 to 10 years of lifetime because it is not really very, very traffic intense, the whole thing. This is the very important thing in this, and if you can continue, please. And this is for us the key in all of this. The whole infrastructure is in public hands, so we are owning it. It's not a matter that we are construction, doing the work, we are owning it, both. So we are owning the fiber optic network and we are owning the LoRaWAN network. And the reason why I think this is so important is that we are defining the rules in all of this. Not the big companies who are dealing with data, not the big companies, the phone companies for us are, let me call it, a danger in this. They are depending on us and not the other way around. So they have asked if they can use our network for their services. So this is the first important step. The second important step in this, we are earning money from this. So even myself as a very, very small municipality, we are getting money for everything that is done in my municipality from fiber optic networks. We earn money from it. So everybody, if it is one of the big internet providers, they are giving us money so that they can use our infrastructure. So this is the second important thing in this. And obviously it is also a matter of power because we can control it. And this is extremely important. This is just a very short overview, a very small overview, how this LoRa technology is working. So we are having on one end, we're having the different type of sensors. So this can be temperature, it can be pressure, water, snow, distances, pretty much everything that can be in the meantime dealt with this kind of sensors. So they are sending out a signal whenever they need to do so. They are just sending it. And on somewhere we are having gateways. We are placing gateways which are grabbing these signals, and then they have two different type of connectors. I'm not sure it is the right word.
Gateway?
Sorry?
Gateway, you mean?
The gateway, yeah.
Mm.
On one end they are getting funk,
Signal.
a signal. They are grabbing a signal, and on the other hand they have the connection to the fiber optic.
Okay.
So there is coming a signal, they are getting it, and then they are sending it to a server. On the server there is then going to be checked if there is someone owning this sensor on this server. If it is so, data are going to be stored, and on the other hand we are having then a software platform where users can then see all the information. Okay, so we have this part is a wireless network, and this part is the fiber optic network. So this is the reason why this is so important. If we are talking about thousands of sensors, maybe it is not really the fact that fiber optic is required. But if we start to talk about millions of sensors and even very, let me say, very sophisticated stuff that is going maybe to send every second information. For example, if we are having large industry, or for example hospitals which are in a need of different type of information which is continuously going to be forwarded. So this is going to become a very, very important part in all of this, because this is going to be the guarantee that all the information are going to be forwarded all the time. Our goal is, we would like, this is very interesting, and this is why we are calling our project Smart Region. Our project is Smart Region. We are not interested, even if it is a very tough word, in smart communities, not in smart cities. We are thinking in smart region size. So we are 33 municipalities in our region, and this project is covering all of us. So we are trying to fulfill what is called a digital twin for the whole region. The end of the story will be that Osttirol is going to be a digital twin. And the base on all of this is that we are owning the infrastructure. This is, from my point of view, the most important thing in all of this. And based on this, we would like to build up something where each municipality in our region is going to be able to use what is going to be a result of all of the information that we are getting. Let me drop it. If I, for example, have some kind of problems with my water, and I find a solution, or the others are going to know the same solution as I have. So this is going to be the key in all of this. And as I wrote it down here, the key for the future is going to be the digital sovereignty of the data. This is, from my point of view, the most important stuff in all of this. I cannot remember, was this the last one?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm done.
So thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for highlighting this concept of digital sovereignty that often comes in discussion with the Commission.
Yeah.
for the it is there is the need to
Yeah.
to make grow our own technology and that data management. We had as Friuli Venezia Giulia regions experience on LoRaWAN. We use it for civil protection
Okay.
because tourists that can be visiting path in mountains can you have a radio something similar that provide once each 5 minutes the coordinates
Localization.
localization and it's very useful to trace tourists where are they moving and to trace people that is looking for them if they get lost because you perfectly know where they were searching for and where they didn't search for anything. So this is another application. And I think that it is a technology that we have to work on because the use of IoT and everything you already mentioned. So not a small town because you represented an amount of 16 municipalities, and we moved to another country, a small country, to Liechtenstein. So I give the floor to Patrick Stacker from the Liechtenstein State Administration for the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. So Liechtenstein is also maybe a region as well as a country. So
Yeah, totally.
it depends where you're looking for.
Okay.
So to start with the first two slides is more or less the introduction of Liechtenstein and myself and my organization. So maybe then I go just quick over there, and then I go into the topic of data centers. I would like to share a little bit about our best practice around data centers, how we got the strategy, how we get to the factors.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm an engineer.
So good. Yeah, exactly. To start here with this slide, that's factors in influencing our strategy doing the data center stuff. So on the left hand side on the map you see Liechtenstein. The border is formed by the river of Rhine, and the whole surrounding, or most of the surrounding area is within the valley of Rhine. And on the east there is Austria, where the mountains go up to 2,000 meters. And so one of the most important risks we have is really water in all aspects. So we have floating risk, we have the biggest one is heavy rain. Heavy rain is really the most important risk in terms of the frequent or the potential risk, and frequent of it. And then also this valley is also part of an earthquake area. So it's not that common. I was also surprising when I saw that. And that's also a risk we have to consider. And I think you heard about it in the news about Spain and Portugal about these power outages. So it's some kind of fun that I'm also I listened to it here. And the energy shortage and energy outages, which is really also a risk, especially over the last couple of years when we had this issue. And there are much more others risk influencing our strategy for data centers. So normally, if you speak to technical guys, IT guys, they're more speaking about cooling, computes and power stuff, but we don't cover this kind of risk. And for a holistic view of data center strategy, we need to also consider that one into it to make this strategy working. And just about to Liechtenstein itself, so Liechtenstein as a country is only 116 square kilometers. So it's very small, and to have data centers in this very small country, it makes just no sense, as the data centers are placed in the same risk area, and if you have a flood, they are affected both or all of them at the same times. And so this is really a challenge for a country to place data. The question is now, where is it set the data to the cloud, to another country, or what? It's also a political kind of discussion. So that's also aspect next to the technical aspect and financial aspects, also this nature and all the other hazards influencing data center strategy. Okay. Then we created a strategy, and I really was happy that our key speakers also often used the word strategy. I think it's really important that you create one. If you provide a service, you need to understand what you are doing, and the strategy, I think it's really the working paper to doing it and describe what are you doing and how you're doing it and when are doing you what. So on the left-hand side, there is a picture of the strategy where you see on the bottom the data center, which is a part of the strategy, of course, and infrastructure as a whole is one of the major chapters in this strategy. And currently we own 2 physical data centers. They are placed in Liechtenstein in the same risk area, which is definitely not the best case how we do it. And then we have also a backup data center in a separate location. Locally wise, it's a little bit higher, so it's not in the mountain, but some higher than ground level of the valley. So that is very good protected against water and earthquake. And then we have also the police, the state police. They own also a separated data center for their needs. So in total, we have 4 data centers, all in this very small country, on the same risk area, with a very small distance, which is definitely a risk. We recognize that, and in the IT strategy and in the data center strategy, we have to plan that going to the next level to eliminate this kind of risk. And we quickly spoke about cloud. Cloud, I think it's the same as artificial intelligence. Cloud is there and it will not be anymore gone. I think it's a fact that cloud is there, and we try really to use it on a use case basis. If there is a value to the customer, we use cloud services. But what we are not planning is really to make some kind of a cloud first strategy or something else. So I think, or we hardly believe that the organization need to store the data in a tightly managed environment, and most closely to your own, that you really understand your data, that you can manage your data, and you always have the control over your data. But as I said, cloud is definitely a complement to our data center strategy. Okay. Yes, I'm not sure you know the terms of tier 3, 4 data centers. Maybe just a quick questions for those who don't know it. Tier 4, this level are different quality standards of data centers, which tier 4 means is the highest level of a data center in terms of the sanity and of protection of the data. So, and how it's doing it, it's they eliminate all single point of failures by doing by creating everything in redundant ways. So that's in simple words what that means, a tier 4 data center. Unfortunately, we don't have such a data center in that quality in Liechtenstein. So the best we got is a tier 3 data center, which we were able to reuse by a bank, which were moved out of this data center. The data center is not optimal, but it's fit most of our requirements. So we decided to go with them, and we did agreement for the next 10 years to run that in this level 3 data center, which I think it's quite a good standard and fit most of our requirements. The second data center, it's really on a better state, so it's not really a data center, it's more room, cooling and so on, but it's not a data center how we understand data center today. And we plan to relocate this data center in 2026 in a tier 4 data center with the appropriate distance between the two data centers. And this means we have to move it outside of Liechtenstein. So I think that's now a political discussion we need to start. We need to finally approve it or get the approval that we can store the data outside of Liechtenstein, most likely Austria or Switzerland, just due to the distance of the cable. We try to place the data center at least 40 kilometers between, or the distance between the data centers should be at least 40 kilometers. But more important to us is really that we move out of the risk zone. So that's it's possible, but yeah, it's a political decision we need to make here. On the good side, the cloud services we can use. So in general, we can move data out of Liechtenstein. So that's a problem we got. But for data centers, it's dedicated case which need to be currently discussed with the government. So, and this data center for the police, it's really important to us. It's our third data center. We don't have equipment. It's really used by the police as a data center, but we have some IT staff there, and we use it as our witness location. Witness location means we can control the data flow, synchronization between two data centers. If you run only two data centers, you have the risk, in the case of a failure of the connection, that the synchronization fails, and each data center means he's have the major role, and so he start to manipulate data on both sides, and you have data center in I can say corrupted data at the end. And with the witness location, you always know who, which data center is still alive, and so you can avoid zombie mode of two different systems. And what you also can see here, we use DWDM as a backbone technology, multiplexing, and everything is redundant, done by fiber optical with DWDM. And also within the data center, here the new one, it's already done by redundant work. The only stuff which is not already done is the diesel engine, which we have just one. Good. If you speak about data centers, backup is also very important. What you can see here is a metal cluster for the production. This will be backup to our net backup, the backup metal cluster to an immutable backup. I think that's very important. So the data here is immutable, means the data cannot be manipulated anymore. And that's a new piece which is not in place. This will be created this year, and the work will shortly start. We create here a dedicated storage for backup. We have a dedicated backup domain where the data are backup from backup metal cluster into this dedicated backup infrastructure. We keep them for around 1 month, where we then backup it to our paper water in a dedicated location. And this symbols are the two different data centers. So then, very important, and so we own exactly the same. We have also our own fiber optical network. In the middle, we see also the concept of our data center. Then we have two circles with fiber optical network, where we have POP in each building, and so or in each village, where we can go to the building via fiber to the home technology, and so we can provide easily IT services to every building we own here in Liechtenstein. So it's really across the whole country we have this fiber optical network. This is managed by us, by employees. The physical fiber channel, it's managed by their local, how we call it in English, electricity company, where we rent the cables. And if you speak about network, then we have also discussing about zoning. So we need really to understand which data are stored in which zone, which kind of protection. So we isolate each zone by a network, by a firewall, so that we can really enforce the security and control the data exchange between different zones. And so, for example, IoT has by us dedicated zones. We have a backup zone, we have a management zone. So, depend of the security level these devices need, we put them into a dedicated zone and protect them by firewall and also routing. And so this also really helps us to avoid cyber criminality and cyber attacks in a proper way. I think that's the last. Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
We are closing this speech with the focus on security. And so, just to highlight that regarding the earthquake risk you mentioned, as a region we were trying something about fiber sensing to identify a small movement of the earth. Yep. We have an institution that already detects some earthquakes using fiber optics. So you can use also the fiber you already put on the ground to detect movements or sounds from the rivers. Sounds strange, but because I'm joking, but no, that's a joke, because our water management agency used the fiber optic close to their conduction to identify where there is a lack of water.
Okay.
So they are listening all and different
vibration.
And this
waves, okay.
So why not?
This is extremely interesting. I didn't want to mention it earlier, but it's something we are working on as well. So to use fiber optics as a sensor.
Yeah.
For example, we are having now running a project to use it in the streets.
Okay.
Because this is amazing what fiber optics is able to do. If you, for example, we would like, we are working now on a project that we put fiber optics in the streets. We can count cars. The optics even recognize if it is a small car, if it is a truck, if it is a bicycle, whatever it is. So it is recognizing pretty much everything exactly.
The vibration will change the spectrum of the light.
Yeah, and there is a university in Austria here that is doing a lot of research on this, and one of my colleagues these days in Graz, where he's discussing with them about this project we are following.
We can get in touch with.
Yeah, this is extremely interesting.
For sure. So we are talking about security. Angelo, it's your turn.
Okay. I'm a professor of physics at the University of Trieste. It's the general topic is since we're talking about digitalization, is cybersecurity, which is strictly connected, how to secure information. I work on quantum physics. So the solution. So we talk about the solution proposed by quantum technology, what is called the quantum key distribution, and about the projects that we are running in our region. So just a brief introduction for those of you that are not much familiar with the topic. So of course, cybersecurity is a vast area. And here we are touching about one aspect of that, which is the communication between two endpoints, or sending a protected document between two endpoints. So cryptography at the end of the day. There are also cryptography is a rich universe. This in the picture is portrayed somehow in a simplified form as symmetric cryptography, where the two parties exchange the same key, and the point is that they are the only two who have the key. One key is used to encrypt the message, and the same key on the other side is used to decrypt the message. And of course, in between, nothing can happen because the message is encrypted, and so it doesn't, basically, if everything is well done, doesn't make sense. So the point, if you can go to the next slide, is so the issue here with symmetric cryptography is how to share the two keys. So the problem of the key distribution, which is the reason why symmetric cryptography is not so much used in general, because it's expensive, it's difficult to exchange the two keys, and usually you need a trusted person that sends copies of the key to the other side from time to time. So probably, I don't know, the embassies do that, I don't know, or the military. But in our daily life, we use the asymmetric cryptography system, which is again another story. So where does quantum technology enter here? It's like in the picture. So there you can use quantum physics to generate two copies of the same key at a distance, in real time. But actually, I don't want to go, I like to teach this, but I cannot go too much in detail. So really you are not sending a key from one side to another, but you are really generating the two copies from one side and on the other side. And the interesting part of the story is that the generation protocol has embodied the security system. So you can check whether during the generation of the key, someone entered the system to try to get some information about the key. And so you have an intrinsically secure system, basically, for key generation. So you automatically are sure that if you have no alert, that only the two parties at both ends have the key. And then once you have that, you can do symmetric cryptography, which again is, if done properly, is by definition is intrinsically secure. So you have a bulletproof system for exchanging documents or exchanging communication in general. Of course, what is the delicate part? Well, this is the theory. The delicate part is that you have to do it properly in the real environment. And so you can go to the next step. And so that's what we are doing. So of course, now the literature is full of laboratory projects that prove QKD distribution. Now it's basically routine work, and there are some demonstrations, several demonstrations that have been done. There are also in different parts of Europe, so mainly in China, also in the US, there are projects which are popping up. There is also a European large-scale European project which is called the EuroQCI, which is running, and also we are part of that. So I'm talking what we are doing in our region. So this was the project Quantum FUG, which started slightly before COVID, and then of course it was slowed down by COVID, and now it's taking momentum again since a couple of years. So the project funded by the region was basically was divided into main parts. So we set up a lab for quantum communication, for a quantum optics lab, which with the usual goals of research. So basic research, applied research, technology development, and also teaching. This is run by the University of Trieste, and it's supposed to be the brain of the entire project. And then in a couple of months ago, we also had the inauguration of a link between the two main cities and the two main universities in Trieste and Udine, a quantum link where you have two QKD machines at both ends. So the link is about 90 kilometers long in optical fibers, which are part of the regional network of fiber optics. So it was given to us to use by the region. And basically, so there are several goals in this project. The goal is basically to go towards practical use and use cases. So at the moment we are testing the QKD machines. So we bought those two that you see in the two pictures that are at the two ends. But now we are asking companies, first in Italy, and we will also ask companies elsewhere in Europe. We, of course, for obvious reasons, we will limit to Europe. We will ask to test their machines and to make also some common tests in order to, as far as possible, to have a comparison between the properties, which is not something not trivial at the end of the day. How to compare the working of the machines, because the technology is, I mean, the story is, from the theoretical point of view, is always the same, and then when you go into the experimental technological details, things can differ very much. And so how they perform, so how they at which rate they can exchange keys and this kind of thing. So that's on the machines. Then there is also the test on the channel. So how we can increase the bit rate exchange, how the bit rate is influenced by a classical signal, and the moment this is dedicated dark optical fiber, so just for the quantum communication, but then we want to inject some classical signal and discuss the coexistence. Again, this is not new in the lab. People have been doing that since many years, but we want to do that in the field and then check how in real life how the things works, how the system reacts to standard maintenance. So people go to some rooms, they open the doors, and there is extra light that goes into the fiber. How does this affect the working of the system? And this is only on the hardware side. And there is all the point on the software side. So when the system is embedded in a classical system in the internet, are there weak points, and which kind how can they be secured? So this is a huge work that is going on both in Trieste, where we are more expert on the hardware component, on the quantum component, and in Udine, where there is a cybersecurity lab, and they are more expert on the software component. Then at the same time, so with the last year's budget, the region again scaled up the project. It's called Equipe FFG. It's a much larger scale project. So we basically want to try to build a real network, so not just 2 points, which is already an interesting system, but simple in a way. Now we have a real network. So here I just sketched some of the main cities. But if we really can go as large as possible, we would have some 12-15 nodes. So a real network. So now the point is the interesting part becomes the topology, which will not be trivial. So you need also to have some centers for distributing the keys. So it's become a much richer system to discuss. And this is the first interesting part. The second interesting part is that we are also already talking about use cases, and the idea is to apply this network to the logistics systems of the region. So starting from the port authority, here is just a picture of the port, which is one of the major economical centers of the region. So the port authority showed interest in trying to in using QKD for security data exchange of data between different parts of the port, and also with the other players in the region. And then of course the port of Trieste, the port of Monfalcone, then there is all the logistics behind the ports. And so we will build a network, and we will try to make it work. Well, we will make it work, not only try, but we will also try there, because we need to check several things to make it usable for the use cases related to logistics system, but possibly also to other use cases. And here you see the PV 5G project that Paolo mentioned before regarding the old port of Trieste, and making it a digital hub in some sense. And then of course this is what's running now. And then the future, you see now there are many more colors. So in green we can start with the green one, is the space part. So what I told you before refers to optical fibers owned by the region, and so QKD and photon exchange and optical fibers. But then there is also free space and satellite. Why free space? Free space because of course, it's simple, because sometimes you cannot you have to reach a movable object which you cannot follow with an optical fiber. So the typical example would be a ship, but it's just one example, or areas where there are no optical fibers. And so we have a small project for a test project of exchange of QKD data between the harbor and the ship in the harbor. And the problem here is that the ship is not still. The ship moves a little bit, and then you have to arrange for the signal to arrive properly. And then the satellite part for long distance secure communication. And also there we have some pilot projects. The yellow parts are possible extensions. So of course with the rest of Italy, that needless to say, but on the east with Slovenia, and here we already had two projects under the CEF program that Paolo mentioned before. The first one was the 5G CETA core. It was about 5G, but there was also a part about securing communication with QKD, and now we applied, hopefully it will be accepted, we see. Let's hope it will be accepted. So the call closed a month ago or so we will wait for the outcome late in the summer. The project secure, this is nice, so it's a QKD network, a cross-border connection between Italy and Slovenia, where the interesting part is the cross-border, which has a technical part, so half of the infrastructure is owned by Italy, half of the infrastructure is owned by Slovenia, and also a legal part. We are talking about security, but we are talking about two countries who wants to keep their sovereignty. So how do we deal with the exchange of data and the property of the machines and the maintenance of the secure channel? So these are open questions which are part of the project. So with Austria, I just mentioned 5G Gale was not connected to QKD, but it was about cross-border optical fiber connections. But there is also QCI MED, which is another project under the same cross-border call. The thing I told you with Slovenia now applies with Austria. And so that's the beginning. And then just to end up with research, the red parts we are expanding the research labs on quantum technology. So it's not just quantum communications, but we have a much richer environment for quantum physics. I think this is my last slide, I think. Yes.
Angelo, thank you very much. I didn't know anything about quantum communication, but I'm learning more and more each day. Thanks to him. But what was impressive for me is that fiber optic is the same. You don't need to build new infrastructures. You need to build new machines. You need to be new nodes. But once you create a network, what I get is that the network can be used for research application, for financial application, so securing communication maybe from the data center outside and inside Liechtenstein. Maybe it's matter of safety, of security. So this is, I think, it is a very. And this is the first insight. The second insight is that it is not a dream. We already have prototypes. We already have machines that can be produced and put in action. So I think the future is now in quantum communication. And from one university to another, I kindly ask you, Luigi.
Can I drop a question?
Yes.
I was following already a couple of events where they have been talking also in Austria about this stuff. There's one thing that I still am not getting. Do you need some special hardware for this type of communication or not?
Yes, you need the apparatus. So, but anyway, first, Austria is one of the big players in the field for historical reason. There are strong groups on quantum physics. You need the machines that generate the quantum signal. Mm-hmm. So that's what you need.
But the infrastructure by itself can be the same.
Yes. So at the moment, the things works the best on dedicated fibers. Mm-hmm. But the research and technological development is moving faster and faster towards the standard network. So you have the classical signal, and then on a different frequency, you send the quantum one. So the infrastructure would be, so at the end of the day, the infrastructure will be the same. Okay. You cannot think of duplicate the internet. That doesn't make sense. No. So the infrastructure will be the same. So in our region, we're using dedicated fibers because the region has it. And so we can do things as long as we can in a better way. But at the end of the day, the infrastructure will be the same. You need to insert new machines where you want to send the signal.
Because this is for us going to be extremely interesting because we are owning the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Yes. And for example, we are discussing right now about we have the hospital here. Yes. I forgot to mention before, we are planning to build our own data center here in our region as well. And one thing is going to be very interesting, so that they are doing not backups, but they are doing Spiegelung, mirroring, data mirroring from the hospital in a data center with a dark fiber.
Yes.
Okay. So this could be then, because the main key or the main question on this is security, because there is really going to be a very, very tough discussion about security, transferring from one end to the other end data from a hospital. So this could be the
Yes,
solution.
actually we were discussing about such a use case in Italy, but our rector, who is a doctor, told us forget about it because you will never get the data from the hospital because of privacy reasons.
Exactly.
But that would be the perfect. That would be the perfect use case.
Exactly.
That would be.
Yes, because we're already in discussion with the hospital exactly for these topics.
But just to explain, in that health data are regionally owned. So in our
And in your case, it's
so in our case, so don't forget it. Maybe there will be just the chance in case the technology will be used by the region for
Yes.
the mirroring data centers.
Exactly.
Our theater is the health data center because they are owned by the region.
no. And actually, although I'm just a university person, I'm very much sympathetic towards this ownership of the infrastructure.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why we are testing the machine. So the machine, the machines you have to buy, but you have to trust the vendor. You have to trust, and that's why we are going through a large process of testing because we don't trust the vendors. And so we cannot. Eventually you can make a spin-off and build also the machines because the technology by now is becoming standard routine. And so I think every country will have a company. Also Austria has companies, so from where you can buy the machines. But you have that's the only piece that which you have to trust, and so that's why we are going through a large work of testing to see whether they do what they promise.
Okay. But this
To have full control of to have full knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly.
That's just full knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah. Okay.
So what we have, you don't have to trust, but we try, we test it.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, so let me just now tell somewhat similar tale. I come from Trento, which is right beyond the border between Italy and Austria, and it's a kind of a region that bears some resemblance with Austria because it's made of small centers. There is a strong industrial base. The largest part of our gross national regional product comes from industry, but the industries are small, typically small and medium. And we have an autonomous province, so there is it's like in Friuli. There is there are a lot of competencies that are owned by the province, and so can make its own decisions on several things. And there is a university which is particularly active in the area of artificial intelligence. And there is also another important research center which is called FPK, which is also very, very active in the area of artificial intelligence. So our problem was, how can we create a context in which companies can make a value out of artificial intelligence, out of all these common technologies, right? And here the key point are data centers. This is something because we already own an infrastructure. It will be described in a later talk. So the key point is, where do we collect the data? Where do we use this data? And here comes this Next Generation EU project. In my opinion, we have come up with some good ideas. Can you please go to the next? Okay, first of all, there is a valley which is above Trento. It's called Val di Non. It's famous for its apples and also for the bears. And in these valleys there are many different mining centers. And some of them are used for refrigerating fluids nowadays because these mines secure a stable temperature of 10 degrees. And so we have come up with an idea, why don't we use this mining site, at least one of these mining sites, to create a data center. There are good reasons to do this. We will soon come to this. Yes?
When you write active, you mean they are still mining?
Yes.
Okay, mining what, sorry?
Different type of minerals, typically iron and this type of, yeah. To be honest, I don't know exactly what
Yeah,
type of mineral, but typically the tradition is iron mines. And so we created a consortium made of a university, which was somehow the brain, so to say. And there were also other companies around. And these companies are quite substantial in terms of employed people, assets, etc. So there was critical mass. And there were these companies willing to really take on a new challenge. And so we have launched this project of 5.2 million euros. 18.4 came from the European Union, the Next Generation EU, and 31 were from the pockets of our industrial partners. And so we have created this type of structure in which we sort of combine research and commercial industrial exploitation of this resource. Can you go to the next slide, please? So when we have decided, here you can see the site, the mining site where we are building this data center. When we were thinking about this, we tended to be quite ambitious, because the real added value of using mines is because they are easy to refrigerate, so you spend a lot of less money. And so let's even scale up the ambition, and let's try to use as much as possible totally renewable energy. We are quite lucky in Trentino because most of our energy comes from renewable sources. And so we have studied a solution in which our data center used entirely renewable energy, so zero carbon footprint. In addition, since we are using mines, there is no need to consume any new soil, which could be dedicated to agriculture or forest or other thing, right? We just use the mines. And as you can see, these are all the benchmark, the most important numbers that capture our ideas. So as I say, this is the power usage, which will be smaller than 1.25, and the European average is 1.6. This is the water usage, which is smaller than 0.2, but this is still a preliminary estimate because the center will become operational by the end of the year. And as I said, we use 80% of the surface is underground, then there is a compound outside, which accounts only for 20% of the surface. And we will have capacity of 1,000 plus rack and a power of 5 megawatt. So we are not talking of a huge data center. We are talking of a medium big data center. It's not comparable to the one that other players can deploy, like Amazon or like Microsoft, etc. But they can cover most of the needs of small and medium enterprises, right? And also many research purposes. Another important thing is that this environment is dry and statically safe. Dry. So there is no risk of flooding because it's quite high. And, and the river run down valley, right? So it's, there is no risk of having flood inside, and this is something that happened, for instance, in the Cineca facility in Bologna, which is the largest Italian center like this, which was flooded recently when there was this huge amount of rainwater coming down. Please, next. Now we come to another point which is quite important, which is security. So our infrastructure will be buried inside 90 million cubic meters of rock, solid rock, okay, which will create a kind of safe protection outside. There is no risk of electromagnetic pollution, and let's say that there is just it is in a remote area, so it's inherently secure. So it's easy to put up security infrastructure. So even in terms of possible usages related to national security, it's possible to think of solutions like this. And also in the design of the center, we have tried to create a redundant infrastructure and to exploit as much as possible the fiber optic infrastructure that has been deployed already. And we are going to aim for the highest certification level for data centers infrastructure. Now, to be honest, I was not directly involved in the center design because I have become a director of the department just a few months ago. So I don't know the details of this level of certification. I don't know if it's tier 3 or 4, but as much as I seem to remember, it should be the highest possible, right? And so this is quite an interesting solution in our opinion for many reasons. First of all, it's an interesting example of a public-private partnership. We have really created a committed group. We put ideas, both for the commercial exploitation and for the technological solution. We are putting into the center all the expertise, and we know the requirement of modern AI system because we work with it. And now the challenge will be what to make out of this to turn it into a success story from the let's say industrial point of view as well, from the revenue point of view. Right? This is quite challenging and important. One thing could be we are looking into is to use it for medical research, because it's true that data are very sensitive, but they can be anonymized, or there are techniques if you just want to make retrospective studies. You can use pseudonym, you can use anonymization, and this is what we do on a daily basis. So if you just want to elaborate a massive amounts of data just to develop technologies, this is a very viable solution. We are looking for partnership also with the newly created Department of Medicine in our university, because it's been launched just 3 years ago, and so now we are trying to establish some common ground to use this momentum and achieve something important together. And then the final part of our, this is just a summary of a sequence of nice pictures. This is how the environment is being shaped in order to put the rack inside. So it's being organized pretty much like a normal center, except that it's under the earth. And so, as I was saying, one of the challenges would be how to create conditions for it become a regional factor of development. Mm-hmm. So how can we engage with our small and medium enterprises in order to improve their usage of AI techniques, encourage them to take advantage of this thing? Because one of the things we should say is that the fact that we are using, let's say, very convenient environment conditions allows us also to lower the barriers in terms of energy consumption and also of cost to market, right? Mm-hmm. So it's something that we are looking into. Other people have sought solutions in the Arctic region, like in Norway or in North Canada or in Alaska, because of this very advantage. We are lucky to have something which is not as good as Norway, but halfway through.
Mm.
And most importantly, it's here and it's well connected with fiber optics, so we expect some good. We have strong expectations of this.
Thank you very much, Luigi.
It's okay.
Thanks a lot. This is the last speech.
Can I just ask one question? Because you said that there is zero electromagnetic pollution in your data mine due to the rock on top of the data mine. Can you elaborate a bit more on this? Or do you have specific electromagnetic pollution scenarios in mind?
Yeah, my point here is that there is this massive amount of rock that shields electromagnetic radiation. So they made some preliminary measurement both inside and outside. So it's completely, let's say, insulated. Right? So as much as I know, as I was telling them, not being directly involved in the project, there is this strong advantages of not having to worry about electromagnetic pollution towards the environment, but also on the receiving hand.
Okay.
You are not going you're going to be protected. But if you want, we can discuss.
We can discuss it later. Yeah.
Later on this.
Yeah, sorry, but we have to go upstairs in 8 minutes because of the plenary session. We'll go on later in the afternoon. Please.
Okay, thank you very much. I will try to stay in 8 minutes. 7. We are an in-house providing company for all the public administration of the Provincia Autonoma di Trento. It's the autonomous province of Trento. So we have as shareholder all the municipalities, the province, and system health care, and all the public bodies. We have 300 employees. We are the owner and we manage all the network in optical fiber across the province. We have more than 2,500 kilometers of optical fiber. We are the owner and we manage also the radio networks. We have more than 100 towers. And we have the network for the emergency operation, which is a TETRA standard. We have also the Wi-Fi networks for the tourism, and we have also all the network to reach the public administration, school, and so on in the mountains. And we are implementing now a provincial LoRaWAN network also, mainly for the agriculture application at the moment. We own and manage also 2 data centers. Our data centers are dedicated for the public administration services and data. And we manage a lot of software of the public administration also, about 300 software. Most of them very old ones, so we have a lot of problem in the performance of the software due also to the latency in a broad data center and so on. So we have to keep in mind this one. We are also responsible for the CSIR, the Computer Security Incident Response Team for all the province. We are the people who manage and monitor all the security of the public system in Trentino. And so we provide services for our shareholders. We provide networks, data centers, cloud applications, cybersecurity. We are involved in the ultra broadband initiative for the citizen and enterprises. We have a lot of optical fiber, so we lean fiber for the telecommunication operator. We host them on our towers in order to accelerate the diffusion of the ultra broadband coverage in our territory. That's what we do exactly. Just few things that I would like to share with you. We are living in a new world now. We have a society which is totally dependent on the digital services. Look what happened yesterday in Spain. We are at the same time very fragile. Our services and our society is very fragile. We have a lot of challenge and risk and threat with the cybersecurity, but not only.
We spoke about electrical energy. So we provide also the emergency network in the mountains, so we spend a lot of money in redundancy in the mountain to provide electricity for the tower during the winter and so on. We have a disruptive artificial intelligence. I agree with the key speech that of this afternoon. Artificial intelligence is going to change all our operations and our work modality. We introduced it already, the artificial intelligence in the operations. And we are not replacing people. We have not able to find people. We have shortage of competencies, so we have to replace these competencies with automation. The public administration is the largest company in the world because it's the largest holder of data of the citizen enterprises and provides services across all the country, are all connected. All the public administration, let me say, are branches of the public administration. There are a lot of interoperability between them. So it's not easy to define, let me say, the border of the public administration, application and security. What is our role? We have the responsibility to innovate the solution, the infrastructure, and to anticipate the market and the future. What we have to do, we have to decide what is the best, let me say, technologies to adopt. It's very difficult in this period because things are changing very fastly. But however, we have to innovate and we have to invest. We need a lot of money. My title of my presentation is resilience, but also sustainability is not environmental one. It's the digital sustainability that means environment, social impact, and economical sustainability. So, but we are aware that we are all of us are too small to face alone the big issues we are facing now. So we have a new geopolitical challenge. We are dependent of US technology. From Google, from Microsoft, but let me say about VMware, that Broadcom changed all this, let me say, commercial, political, it's a big challenge for us. So we have built a lot of our application and services on American technology. With the geopolitical challenges now, we have to find something, I don't know, different, but we have to find solution and we have to find them together. The cybersecurity threats are very, very hard. We are spending a lot of money, I heard before about security. We are spending a lot of money with new technology to encrypt the data in our data center, quantum. We are looking for the key, quantum key distribution between our data center and other things. But we have also the regulation, Italian one, European one, privacy, and so on. And here we have the data sovereignty. It's our big deal. For the artificial intelligence and everything, we need the data. The data we have to find and to clean and to protect our data. We have a new policy, political one in Trentino. The data of the Trentino system, public system, should remain in Trentino. And for that, we are investing on data center and technologies. And the ownership, so we have to protect our data center, our data, from bringing them abroad with ChatGPT or other things. So we have to find the good compromise between the use of this technology and to protect our data. Next, please. The digital infrastructure are the basis of the digital transformation. We need end-to-end security, but we need security inside our data center, robust for failover, electricity, backup. I heard about the tape. The tape is okay, but what about the, let me say, time to put again the data? You will spend 12 hours starting from the tape. So we are looking for new technology. From one side, the business continuity, from other side, time to restore everything. It's a very hard, tough topic. We have to do continuous assessment and planning, and also, so one time we designed our infrastructure. Today we are redesigning our infrastructures every 3 years with the new requirement, new technology, and new investment. I will give you some numbers later. We have to act a lot about the monitoring monitoring is the main factor to protect our performance and our security. With a comprehensive analytics, and here the artificial intelligence could help us to relieve, let me say, anomaly, to detect anomaly. We have a lot of anomaly. We have introduced something already. We are working with the University of Trento for new algorithm to anomaly detection in the networks. And we start to have some interesting topics, output. So the real, let me say, resilience is measured by the user experience. If the citizen or our public administration will not be able to use the services, this is the measure, how we can measure our resilience. Behind you have the cybersecurity data center network. It's not matter of the user. Things are not going. So we have also to understand which is the expectation of the user of our services. We have the problem of the integration of the cloud services. We use OpenAI. We have already 6 or 7 services based on OpenAI, but we implemented them using only the NLP capacity of the cloud, and the data remain in our data centers. Governance, we need governance, synergies between actors. I think it's a very important to find a way to collaborate between us.
Yeah.
We are too small alone,
Yeah.
the big are too big. We have to
Exactly.
find a way to work together. New skill and automation, we need to introduce automation. It's the future to compensate the gap in skills. Last one, very fast, a few seconds, I have another one. What we did in the last years, we redesigned and replaced all the backend of equipment, 5 million of investments. Redesign, upgrade internet interconnection, because we need more bandwidth, we need more resilience. We have replaced all the software hardware of emergency network after 10 years. And now we are redesigning all the radio network in the mountain area because we need to bring there a lot of capacity. Compliance of the national requirements for the data center cloud. We already carried out an interconnection with other 3 digital infrastructure of other 3 Italian regions, Emilia-Romagna, Bolzano, and Veneto. We have already connected in optical fiber all our infrastructure and network, and we can do backup and disaster recovery between us. We can think something like this also across level. We are going to implement and to be the first edge node of the national cloud system. We have an agreement and we are working in us. We should complete all the action because the latency will not permit the introduction of this system in the national one. The other one, intelligence. Thank you, very fast.
Thank you very much. Sorry for interrupting.